Okay, welcome to the Empower Me Now workshop. It is a great pleasure to have you here again. I am Sabine Matharu. I'm the founder of the Empower Me Hub. And if you are joining us live or catching the replay, just know this session is going to be part of a greater mission to help leaders, professionals, and change makers like yourself lead with clarity, grow with purpose, and live with well-being at the center. So, because we know we're here, because we know it's no longer enough to push harder and do more. We know sustainable success requires something deeper, which is resilience, alignment, and also the ability to thrive without burning out. And that's really what this session is going to help you unlock. And we're going to dive into practical strategies, real-world insights, and mindset shifts that can help you start apply this immediately in your work environment. Before we dive in, I'd just like to say hello to the speakers and just introduce the session. We're here to talk about stop playing small, overcome fear, and take charge. Now, Denise Chester, who is a mindset and confidence coach, and Jenny Lyon Rainbow Anderson, who's a leadership coach, is going to talk about the 7 secrets to thriving in your leadership that your organization won't teach you. And I'm very excited because they have packed in a lot of detail, and we also have a workbook, so make sure you download that after the session, or maybe you already have it as you're watching live. Just play along and just, write down your thoughts, because we want you to have some actionable steps at the end of this. So welcome, ladies. I get you on stage now, and I will be in the background answering questions, and then we'll come back in the end to summarize. So thank you for being here, and welcome to the stage. Denise,
thank you so much, Sabine. Yeah, thanks for that lovely introduction. I'm super excited to be here today to talk about something that changes lives, changes teams, changes organizations, and of course changes careers, and that's leadership and confidence. Now, I started my professional career leading teams in the hospitality industry, and soon became tired of the long hours, the evenings, the weekends. So I left as quickly as possible and moved over to the corporate sector. And I advanced my career there, and eventually I led teams in management consultancies and some of the bigger investment banks. I've also led teams in the non-profit sector and started and created my own successful business. So I come with a background of a wide variety of leading and working with leaders in different sectors and different industries. So today I focus on helping high performers transform their mindset and change the way they see themselves. So essentially I help them to create unshakable confidence and allow them to become the version of themselves that they need to be in order to be the great leader that they know they can for developing their career, their teams, their organization, and having that lasting impact. So I'm delighted to be here, and lovely to see you too, Jenny.
Thank you. So I'm Jenny Lyon Rainbow Anderson, and I am a leadership coach. I would also call myself a clear channel, somebody who's a consciousness expert, because I help leaders in particular to really step into that, really highest potential of themselves. And I know that's kind of maybe a little bit of an overused word, but I do it from an internal, working with them internally. I'm a therapist originally, and I turned mentor and coach and healer later on. So everything that when I work with people, come from that lens, through that lens of really understanding the human psyche, the human body. I'm also a massage therapist, so I learned a lot about the body and nutrition and things like that. So that's the kind of approach I have, and I get really excited to work with CEOs in particular, and then also help them and their teams to align further, not just finding where there is friction in the team, but also where there's gaps, where there's skills are perhaps not utilized, particularly well in all the people, I really feel I have this good gift of actually being able to see the potential in everyone. And, it's really exciting way to work with the CEO to start with. And then I usually, we involve the teams later on when we, go deeper. So that's the kind of thing that I do. I'm very passionate about anything to do with raising consciousness and working from integrity and using your intuition and being, very much in your truth and, not sort of budge on your own values and things like that. So helping people stand in their power as well. So that's me. So I'm excited about doing this with Denise today.
Fantastic.
So you're in the right place if you are juggling people, pressure, and purpose. So you are a person who wants to help everywhere, but maybe you are craving more space to breathe and not have this pressure everywhere. And that there is an opportunity to do this, to be able to do this. You also have outgrown the role that you're in, perhaps, and no one can see it apart from you. And you're evolving faster in your environment, and you have getting these really big ideas, and you want to be able to, really thrive and strive forward. And it just feels like you're maybe a little bit stuck because you don't know how. But you also look successful, but you may feel disconnected. So I think this is something that a lot of leaders have been on the trajectory of success and, finding, the path, the career path to success. And then they kind of get there and they actually feel quite unfulfilled because they were looking for an external validation as opposed to an internal, deeper fulfillment. So I think having both is something that is very possible. And we are seeing more and more people feeling unfulfilled. They have, on paper, it looks good, but they feel unfulfilled, inside. Lots of different reasons, but yeah, so that's where we are. So if this is you, you're in the right place.
Yeah, great. So now you know that you're in the right place. What are some other reasons that people want to develop their leadership skills? And I think when we talk to leaders, we get a lot of the same themes that come up time and time and again. You can see them in some of the comments here, fostering alignment and motivation, engagement and productivity, navigating challenging situations, fostering the positive work environment, motivation again, rapport, team building, coaching, and effective feedback. There's clearly a desire for more cohesive teams for leaders and their teams and their organizations. But, great leadership goes beyond that as well, doesn't it? It touches all aspects of our lives. And I think it's important to highlight that as well. Reducing stress, if you can be a calm, confident leader, then that reduces stress within the workplace for you and for everybody around you. And of course, this has like a knock-on effect into your wider existence. It doesn't just stay at work. So it's not just about how people, are feeling. It's about not just about how people are performing, it's how they're feeling. So, sorry, I've lost my train of thought there.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I was going to talk about how it impacts your families, your relationships outside of your work environment, your children, your partners, your friends, etc. But also good leadership, reducing stress, can help to reduce levels of burnout, the tension within the office, tension in that work environment. It's going to help you feel better in all aspects of your physical and mental health. And Jenny talked about working with the body. I do a lot of that stuff as well in terms of embodied somatic work. And we take a lot of that stress internally and we're storing it within the body. So great leadership can help kind of counter that effect and impact all areas of your life. And I think there are a couple of other things that I've heard leaders talking about that come up time and again. And one of them is leaving a legacy, right? People aren't just developing to become successful leaders just for themselves. They want to be part of something bigger than themselves. They want to create something that they can leave behind that will have an impact on their teams, on their organizations, and perhaps on the wider culture around them. And I think also future-proofing careers. When you invest in your development as a leader, sorry, my dog's just walked in. You're staying relevant, you're staying adaptable, and you are future-proofing your career as a leader. You're making sure you are keeping your skills up, and developing your confidence on an ongoing basis. So those are some of the other additional factors that I've heard leaders talk about when they come to investing in developing their leadership skills. So how do you actually then overcome fear? How do you stop playing small? How do you put yourself forward? How do you develop as a leader? So we've come up with 7 steps that we want to take you through. I'm going to start with the first one now, which is tapping into your unique brilliance. This idea of bigger picture, having a bigger picture it's really about becoming familiar, becoming aware with where you are right now. Like, what's your situation right now? Where do you want to get to? And obviously looking at the obstacles, potential barriers in your way. When you are aware of your strengths, it helps you to feel more confident, right? It creates that certainty because you're building trust in yourself. So when it comes to the bigger picture, I'd invite you to, like, perhaps after the session, spend a bit of time reflecting on some of these questions. You know, what are you good at? What are you good at in your current role? What skills have you seen and developed in previous roles? What do you like to do? What do you like? What do you actually enjoy? What fires you up? What lifts your energy in your current role, or perhaps roles that you've had before? Really noticing what makes you happy, what you like to do. It's okay to look to do the things that you like to do. It's important to have that awareness of actually what skills you've got, where you're at right now, and you know what really makes you come alive in your role as a leader. And then the North Star is the big vision, right? It's the big dream. It's the thing that you're dreaming about developing in your career. It's the person that you want to become. It's like those secrets that you keep to yourself, the dreams that you have that you don't tell anybody, and not even admitting to yourself because you're not quite sure if you can get there. Like, what's the small, quiet voice saying to you? And I think that, you know, when you have this big vision, this big idea that you know that you're moving towards, it helps you create confidence, but it gives you purpose. It's really important, I think, particularly when things are a little bit tricky in your work environment, when things become difficult and challenging. If you've got that big vision, something that you can look to, that North Star really helps you bring yourself back to your purpose. And it helps your team as well. When there's a purpose, people can work towards it with you. People often want to work towards a purpose and not a plan. And helping you, I think it helps to really connect sort of daily small goals and daily small actions to this big picture. Everybody knows what direction they're working towards. So I would encourage people to spend a bit of time creating their big vision, their big picture. Where are you at now? And then where do you want to get to? Who is that person that you see when you shut your eyes and you dream about becoming the great leader that you know that you can be? And take some time, put it into ChatGPT. It really helps. And it can come out with this incredible vision statement that you can come back to time and time and time and time again to remind yourself of what this is all about and why it's so important to you. And Jenny, I think you're going to talk about the other side, the barriers. Jenny, sorry, you're on mute.
Sorry, I did mute myself there to make sure you had a good sound. Yes, so breaking the barriers. So I think this is one of the most important things, because we as humans, we build habits and we kind of put up a little bit and put up and we adapt and we kind of, conform, right? And it could be those little steps. And all of a sudden you'll find yourself in a place and you think, oh, this work that I have, or this career, or whatever I'm doing, this role is actually not lighting me up. I find myself that I'm not in this, place anymore that makes me excited. I'm dreading the tasks. I don't feel aligned anymore. And instead of feeling bad about that, I think it's about looking at how did you get there? And I think it is this sort of putting up and, trying to sort of be resilient and those things. And then all of a sudden you find yourself like, oh gosh, I'm in this place where I'm not actually enjoying it. And it's going to be the same, sort of process to unpick it as it was to get there. So I always say, look, what is it that you want to let go of right now? What is it that you can let go of right now? Whether that is in the work environment or in your career path or in your daily life, what is it that doesn't light you up anymore? What is it that you can delegate? What is it, even like, can you delegate the washing at home? Can you delegate something, at work? Is there certain tasks that you can delegate? Because there's going to be other people who might feel more excited about that. And then what permission do you need to give yourself? And I think this is where the inquiry of self-inquiry happens, because we can only give ourselves permission to do something, when we, make it clear that it's not working for us anymore, but also not be hard on ourselves to actually say, no, I'm supposed to be enjoying this, right? And have a mindset around it as opposed to, oh, it should be hard and it should be really difficult. That's kind of maybe an old sort of paradigm mindset that you're attached to, and maybe to start thinking differently about how your life should be feeling and how things should be for you. And then once you've said to giving yourself permission to go, actually, it's okay. I don't like this. I don't enjoy it. I'm going to do something about it. And I think that's the next step, like to bridge this gap, to say, okay, well, what is it that really lights me up? I want to do more of what that is, whether that is doing art at your spare time or something else that you feel excited about, scuba diving. It could be something outside of your career path, right? That makes you feel more excited and happy and all those things. And then what habits and actions could you do apart from that? Maybe this could be something that you could bring into work in your career. Maybe add an extra meeting to collaborate on new ideas and things with your team. There could be small things that you could put into place to start activating yourself, in a better way, and then slowly let go of all those things that are not serving you anymore. And then all of a sudden you will find yourself in a new position. You'll be like, wow, I've changed almost my role here, or I'm nearly now getting a new role to get in my career, and actually feels really good because I gave myself permission. So I think, that's the end of this slide. But I think this is really important to start having this self-inquiry.
Great. So step 2, cultivating confidence, overcoming self-doubt. I mean, it's huge, isn't it? I run workshops on just this one topic alone. So I think it's really helpful to try and distill things down into this 3-step process that I use with my clients. And, I think the first thing is it's about awareness. And I want you to be aware that it's completely normal to feel anxiety, to feel nerves, to have this lack of confidence. On your journey, on your progress as you grow, this is completely and utterly normal. It's just part of the process. And the second thing is, like everybody has self-doubt. Everybody doubts themselves at some point or another. Like every single person, despite how they look, how they present, they've all dealt with self-doubt. So I just want to, remind everybody that this is completely normal to have these kind of feelings. And that's what we're trying to help you with today. So building your confidence and overcoming your self-doubt, you can distill this down into these 3 steps for me. And it's awareness. It always comes back to awareness. You've got to be able to firstly identify where you feel a lack of confidence. What are the situations and the scenarios and the people perhaps that when faced with them, you feel your confidence draining away? Is it speaking up in meetings, sharing your ideas, asking for promotion, a project, a pay rise? Is it talking about your own achievements, perhaps giving feedback? Identify, become really clear, start noticing and start recording where these situations are, who these people are, what are the things that come up for you that make you feel nervousness, that make you feel anxiety. So get really crystal clear on them and write them down. Keep some kind of record. What are the situations and the circumstances that make you feel uncertain, unsure of yourself. Get super clear on those first. And then you want to dig a little bit deeper and try and understand what's the thinking behind that. What you're having a feeling, you're feeling anxiety or nervousness or self-doubt, whatever it is, there's a thought behind that feeling. So you have to become like an investigator or a scientist performing experiments, trying to get underneath to the stories that you've created that lead to you feeling this way in these situations. You know, your stories are essentially your beliefs that are supercharged, and your beliefs are sort of ideas that you may have had at one point that you've thought so often, time and time again, like literally thousands of times, day in, day out, over weeks, months, years, and even decades. These become beliefs. You believe them to be true, whether they're true or not. And then you create stories around this. You know, oh, I'm never going to be a great leader because I can't do this, or so-and-so is incredible, I'll never be as good as them, or I can't give feedback, I'm just no good at it, or no, I can't present, I'm rubbish at speaking. All these stories that you've built over the years about yourselves and your abilities, you know, they become what drives you, what leads you. And that's why you feel this lack of confidence in certain situations. So get really clear on the situations, get really clear on the thinking behind them. And just to say, most of our thoughts are in the subconscious, like 90% of your thoughts you're not even aware you're having. So you do have to get a bit quiet. And when you feel uncertain, when you feel self-doubt, ask yourself, what am I actually thinking here? What am I actually thinking? What are the thoughts that are going through my head that lead me to feel this way? And then take note of the impact that it has. How does it impact you? Like, did you get overlooked for a promotion again? Did you not put yourself forward for that role that you really wanted? How is it actually impacting you? Perhaps you just don't feel seen and heard within your organization. So see the situations, understand the thinking behind them, and look at the impact they're having. And what we want to do is then flip that. Create an alternative belief. So I want you to think about, when you've got very clear, when you've got clarity around the circumstances, situations, ask yourself this question. What do I believe about myself or this situation, this scenario, or this person? What do I believe about myself to be true that may not be true? Now, what if it's just not true? The stuff that's going around in your head that's telling you you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not experienced enough, all of these things. What if those words that you hear in your head on a loop are just not true? So I want you to create an alternative perspective, an alternative belief that you can use to knock out of the park those old limiting beliefs. You've got to allow the old beliefs to wither and die away through lack of use and replace them with a new idea. So every time you catch yourself thinking, oh, I'm rubbish at this, or I can't do that, I'll never be good enough, you apply, if you like, your new belief. It doesn't have to be the polar opposite of your old belief. You don't have to go from, you know, I'm a terrible speaker to I'm the most amazing speaker on the planet. But how about the thought that I can become a very effective speaker with the right support and guidance? Could you get on board with that? So it's creating these alternative viewpoints, committing to them. You've got to repeat them over and over and over and over and over again to create these new pathways that will eventually become your new beliefs and your new stories, but they'll be a lot more healthy and helpful for you in your journey. And also important to celebrate your progress, right? If you never celebrate your achievements, it will feel like you're never having any. And as you do this kind of work, this deep mindset shifting work, you've got to be able to recognize your progress and mark it, celebrate it, acknowledge the work that you're doing. It will help you to see how far you've come, and it will help motivate you to continue to develop. So the third step is really seeking help. It's really easy to say that it's not a weakness to ask for help. But when you're in that situation, it can be really scary sometimes, like, oh God, if I ask for help with this, I'm going to look really incompetent, and I should already know how to do this. It can be scary asking for help, but just know that asking for help benefits everybody. Yourself as a leader, your team, your environment. It saves time, energy, money, heartache. It saves disappointment. It shows you your blind spots, and it helps give you some accountability. So get very, very clear on the thoughts, the feelings, and notice what's happening in your body when you feel uncomfortable and lacking in confidence. Create a new belief and challenge that old belief with it, and ask for help.
Right. So step 3, defining your vision and aligning your career with your values. And it was really interesting because Denise and I was talking about this, last week. We were talking about this masterclass. And what actually came to my mind then, it was my daughter. So it's always nice to tell a bit of a story. So my daughter is only 15, but she's one of those young people who got quite strong clarity about her beliefs and what she wants to achieve in this world, and, the things that she wants to do. So I said, well, let's talk about my daughter, because she basically have these really strong values. And maybe this is more common with young people these days, I don't know. But regardless, if you have really strong values about something, so my daughter is very much for sustainability, and she loves anything that is like eco-friendly. She wants to create real change in this world, actually, also saving animals and things like that. So she's got these really strong values. And if you have really strong values, then you can be very specific how you are going to implement those values into your career path. And I think for her, the way she's looking at it, I'm going to talk you through this because it's quite interesting. She said, okay, Mum, so I could either run or start a business, which is an entrepreneurial sort of journey of sustainable. She loves art and design as well. So a sustainable business where we create interior design, and she loves colors. She loves all of this. And she's very, very good with like style and finishes. And I could do that and then create impact by using sustainable materials, etc., etc. And I said, yeah, that's a really good idea. So let's look at the A levels. Obviously, she knows what she's doing for A levels now. But then she said, I've also had this idea, Mum, that I could be a lawyer, and I could also be somebody who can change the law about, for the animals and for sustainability for the earth and all those things. So I was like, yeah, that's a really good idea. So off we went into ChatGPT to ask about all the different options we have and the barriers that she may come across as well, because she said, I also want to have a family. Because as soon as she said about the lawyer, I said, somebody who works for a corporate company who is a lawyer, and I have 2 friends doing it, they chose not to have children, not because they probably couldn't, but they would have to take some time out, because you can't really work part-time as a lawyer. It's very unusual, especially in big firms anyway. So I said, you got to, it's not like you have to choose, but there's going to be difficulties. You might be at the peak of your career when you're 30, and then you're going to stop, for sort of 5-10 years. Is that what you want to do? And she's like, well, I don't know. So we had a look at the different options, what type of law she could do and what type of positioning she could do as a lawyer, whether she was working for a smaller law firm or for a charity, but then she was also like, well, I want to earn a lot of money. So then we looked at all the options of how she could still earn a lot of money without working in a corporate environment, still have children and still have the options. So this was just an exciting, conversation really that I had with her. And I think if you are far down the line, obviously you might be 40, 50 or 60 years old now, it's not too late to change things. It's not too late to say to yourself, right, how can I transition into something that feels really aligned with my values, that really lights me up and that makes me feel good? How can I transition without jeopardizing, my financial commitments and everything? And can you set up a plan for that? Whether that is, do you have some savings? Do you have 6 months of savings so that you can make a transition? Whether that is within the career, or if you want to start your own business. If you're starting your own business, I'd say have savings for 2 years, because it takes a long time to start your business. So, just have the right strategy in place when you want to make these transitions, and take the leap, do it. Obviously my daughter, she's very privileged because she's in the start of her journey, so she can choose now. But for those who don't choose right now, there's a way to transition. And obviously this is how we help you guys in, if you were to ask us questions about this. But yeah, so it's totally possible. And this ultimately will make you feel fulfilled, because you will have feel filled up and sort of really happy with the work that you're doing, you will earn money. And at the same time, it doesn't feel like work then, because you feel like, yeah, I'm making a difference. I really enjoy this. This is my passion. These are my values. And then it is a joyful journey, right? So, yeah. So I think this is something that is totally possible wherever you are in your career path right now.
Fabulous. And I think since our conversation and you telling me that about your daughter, I'm like overly invested in her future now. So I really want to know how well she does.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be like, oh, Denise, she's doing this now. Yeah, we even researched the A-levels. So if you want to become a lawyer, so she wants to do art, geography, possibly English, but maybe sociology. And actually, there wasn't a specific A-level you have to do to become a lawyer. So she said, I can still do the ones I thought I was going to do for the sustainable business, and I can still change my mind later. I was like, yeah, it's very strategic thinking. Yeah. Well done. You know, options, so I think that's what that's how she's going to go down. But yeah, I will keep you updated.
Keep me updated. Yeah, I want to know. Brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah.
Step 4, communicate with impact. We all know how important communication is. It's, you know, you need confidence to be able to communicate powerfully and create that presence and to be able to influence people. And, you know, we've highlighted 3 areas here: active listening, constructive feedback, and effective speaking. Active listening is key for me. You know, the listening part is so important. Everybody knows that, you know, 2 ears, 1 mouth, but it's really, really relevant when it comes to leadership. It's not just about how people feel, but it's about, well, it's not just about how you listen to them, really. It's about how they feel when you listen to them. That's what I'm trying to get to. So active listening, you know, it's listening to understand. If you're communicating with someone, your people really need to feel seen and heard. As a leader, you have to create that sort of safe environment for them where they feel that people can come to you with their troubles, their concerns, their successes, their ideas, their worries. You've got to be able to create a container for your team members where they see you as someone that they can go to, that they won't be dismissed out of hand, they won't be ignored or kind of shut down, that you will be there and you will listen and really, really hear them. And this is the key. You know, active, obviously it's called active listening. It's not passive. It's not just sitting there waiting for that person to finish speaking so you can respond. It's really trying to get the full understanding of their perspective. And so you can demonstrate that you've heard and you've listened. And for me, active listening, it's not just listening as well. It's like engaging. It's okay to interrupt someone. So, sorry, can I just stop you there? I really want to make sure I understand what you just said. Can you repeat that? Or to get clarity. It really helps people to feel like they are being listened to and they're actually being heard, rather than it just being some kind of exercise that you're going through, nodding your head as they're speaking. Really getting to know someone and understanding their full perspective of what the situation is, whatever you're talking about. Feedback is a massive part of growth, right? We all need feedback, every single one of us, but can be quite tricky, I think, for some leaders. I think if you're lacking confidence or you're scared of conflict, or perhaps you're maybe not experienced enough to know what good performance actually looks like, that can be really off-putting and make leaders shy away from giving feedback. But feedback is essential. Again, it's so people can feel seen and heard and make improvements. You're giving people actionable steps to take. So feeding back on someone's performance, if there are concerns around it, it's not enough just to tell them what's going on. You've got to help them and give them steps to take to improve their performance. And it's really important to talk about performance and not personality. Make the feedback that you give as neutral as possible, if you can, so that you're not criticizing or judging, or someone ends up feeling like they're being judged because of who they are, and to make that language as neutral as possible. And I think it's a two-way street, feedback. One of the things that I really wanted to say here was that it's not just providing feedback and follow-up steps for your team members in a very clear and non-emotional way, but it's asking for feedback on yourself as well from your team. Are they happy? What do they think of your leadership style? You know, do they want more autonomy? Do they want more responsibility? Feedback is a two-way street, and it can be tricky for everybody involved. So I think normalizing giving feedback on a more sort of frequent basis, in a more informal way, is really, really helpful. So if you get used to praising people without going overboard, and you get used to talking about challenges without it becoming some horrible conflict situation, that benefits everybody involved. So allowing, you know, formal feedback can be given on your annual appraisal, but practice giving feedback more informally on a much more regular basis. So, and try and shift the thinking around feedback within your team. Doesn't have to be confrontational. See feedback as a tool for growth, for your growth and for your team's growth, and therefore the knock-on effect of your organization and the culture that you're in. Effective speaking, obviously part of powerful communication. And I think, you know, depending on the situation, are you talking about speaking with clients, with the board, with your line manager, with your team members, whatever the situation is, whatever the circumstance, whatever you're talking about, you've got to be crystal clear. What is the message? What's the message? What are you delivering here? Who's it for? What's the point? What are the key takeaways that you want them to have? What are the questions that they're going to have? And I think effective speaking as well, it's important to be awareness. I've spoken about awareness a few times. Become aware of your body. For many people, speaking in any situation doesn't have to be presenting. It can be just speaking up in a meeting, speaking to a manager, speaking to somebody in the C-suite. You know, it can make them very nervous. So I think practicing speaking wherever you can. If you're someone that feels challenged by speaking up in meetings, try speaking up in safer, like less formal settings. If you're someone that struggles with sharing your ideas because you think people are just going to knock them back, practice sharing your ideas, the smaller ideas. It doesn't matter if they aren't welcomed, and with people that you feel safer with. Speaking requires practice. Becoming an effective speaker as part of becoming an effective communicator requires practice, as does active listening, as does giving and receiving constructive feedback. So if you struggle with your body, what's happening inside your body when it comes to speaking, you get up to speak and your breathing is suddenly rapid and shallow, and you know, you're like this. Practice, learn and practice breathwork techniques. If the thought of having to present sends you into an absolute panic, visualize it. Visualize that presentation, that talk, that thing that you're going to speak about in your mind's eye. Practice it over and over again of you speaking confidently, powerfully, and with influence. The more you can practice it mentally, the more the body becomes familiar with it. And when you actually come to do it, it can feel like, oh, I've already done this before. So practice and believe in what you're saying. And throughout all of this, listening, feedback, or speaking, just stay respectful and try as much as possible to remove your own ego and your own personal perspectives. Try and keep it neutral. Jenny.
Thank you. So step 5, leading with clarity, setting achievable goals and measure progress. So I am one of these mentors and coaches. I absolutely love tracking the statistics because I find it really interesting to, you know, to look at something, right, let's implement this and see what happens. I don't personally track it. I have, if I ever was running ads or something, I'm talking from a coach perspective here now, I'd get the ads agency to do that. But it's really interesting to look at the data, and I like the goal setting of something, that we're working towards something and tracking the progress with data. And at the same time, I love doing goal setting and also do the progress tracking to see how we're feeling. Is this feeling good? Is this change making you feel excited? Does it make you feel almost like, oh, what else? Like your ideas are coming through. Is there something that shifted in you energetically when you are making the changes, or when you're tracking something? Because I think we can get caught up in numbers and performance and projections and statistics, and they are valuable because we need to understand where it's working and where it does not work. But if you can also get excited about some changes and it feels good in the body, then it's a really good sign. I'll take a really good example. So I work with organizations, and I'm gonna explain an example here. And we were, so I'm the consultant, like in the organization. They have they have a team there, it's a business. And I was talking to the CEO, and we were talking about propping up some gaps where the marketing wasn't working. And I'm not going to go into a long story here, but basically what we did, I found where the gaps were and where they were leaking energy, not just financially and statistically, but also energetically. It was leaking energy. It was feeling really, not good. So we've shifted all that now. We're putting up we're going to do some new ads, and we're going to do some new things that, and as we are going through this process where we've discovered where the leak was, financially, emotionally, not emotionally maybe, but financially, energetically, and statistically, we're now making changes. And as we're making the changes and they feel aligned, everyone feels excited again. Everyone feels energetically like, wow, I can't wait to wake up and, start implementing. And that, I think, is a big part of growing your team, growing your business, growing your organization, is to feel good about the changes and to track it energetically as well as tracking it statistically. And that also gives you the opportunity to adjust the strategy. So you might say, okay, well, how does that feel? So for example, with this company I'm working with, we stopped all the Facebook ads because every single one was a really bad funnel. So I was like, stop all of the ads. And I said, how does that feel? I asked the team members, how does it feel energetically to stop the ads? And everyone was like, it feels really good. And they were all like feeling good about it, rather than going, oh my God, what happens if we stop the ads? What's going to happen to the business? And I think that's just another way of measuring and adjusting and feeling into what feels good. And I think a lot of CEOs and a lot of people are using this skill without maybe talking about it, and I think, but the more we can use it, the better. That's what I'd say as well. I don't know what you think, Denise.
Yeah, no, I was really listening intently there. It's fascinating. I think how we're so used to just making all our decisions from up here and not getting into the body and
the body. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, how does it actually feel? And you're like, you can make decisions based upon that, not just
yes, you can.
Thinking brain.
Yeah.
That's so crucial. I think we're seeing more of that, and I agree with what you said, that leaders are doing this without being aware of it. But I think it's so helpful to bring their attention to it and make it a thing, right?
Yeah, bring awareness to this technique.
Bring awareness again. It comes back to awareness.
Yeah, definitely.
Great, Jenny. I think you were going to talk about delegation.
Yes. So let's start on this. So empower your team, delegate, motivate, and foster collaboration. I think delegation is probably one of the most important skill to do that correctly and effortlessly. Is one of the biggest skill and techniques you can have to grow a business and to create lots of more success, because we build amazing stuff as teams. You never build it on your own. So to delegate something is not just a skill, but it's like it has to happen. Now, I would say for people who find it hard to delegate, I think there should be a big self-inquiry there, because it could be several things. do you trust your team? Is that why you're not delegating, because you're not trusting your team? Or is it something in yourself? You know, is there something in your own mindset or beliefs about things? You know, is it an old pattern that you simply don't trust? Or have you been burnt somewhere? So you think, oh, if I give too much away of this, it's going to come and, you know, stab me in the back, or it's going to backfire on me because I didn't oversee it, etc. So I think this is a really, really important thing. And if that is the case, I'd say, well, we've got to sort of look at, is this person capable to take over what you want to delegate? And are they qualified? Are they aligned with the task? Are they excited to do the task? Because if they're excited and feel like, you know, fueled with this, they will do a good job, right? If somebody feels good about doing something, they'll do a good job. I mean, we can all make mistakes, I suppose, but, you know, they'll feel that. So have they got the skill set? Are they excited to do it? Does it feel aligned? Yes. And have you sorted out your own trust issues? Like, you know, have we looked at those, and have we coached you through those issues where you think, right, okay, well, there's something in me, I need to shift this so that I can actually let go and trust, you know, this other person or this part of the team to do this. And I think once that's done, I think motivation will become more clear, really, because if a leader is relaxed and more trusting and engaging with the team, that energy of, you know, letting go and allowing creates more expansion in the team, creates more flow and creativity as well. It's when a leader will try to control and compress a team, or, like, you know, a situation because of their own insecurities, or they might have been burned in the past, then that really suffocates the energy. So then those people will feel less inclined to perform really well, because they might actually feel more nervous, even because they feel like they mustn't make a mistake because they, you know, under pressure. So this is a real amazing technique that has to happen, and that then naturally motivation will be high, because people are, wow, my boss trusts me, he's excited for me to do this task, and and he is relaxed, he's gone to, you know, look at something else that he's planning now, which is even more expansive and excited, and I will do this with my co-worker, and this is really good, I feel motivated, right? And then as soon as you feel motivated, you'll be open to collaborate more, you're more open, you're not operating in fear, you're not operating in feeling like you're not good enough or something, you know, you've been boosted in your own way, and guess what? Better results, more creation, more collaboration, just more expansive energy in the team. And this is really, this is like a natural, you know, pathway. This is what has to happen. And when this happens, everyone's happy and thriving. You probably get really good results and productivity as well, which is, I mean, PPP, productivity, profit, and performance has to happen. And you will get that with that type of, you know, alignment.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you know, this knock-on effect onto the wider organization and your personal development, that, you know,
everything.
There can be a lot of gatekeeping around collaboration. And actually, like you said, if you can just open yourself up to it, there's so much learning that can be had that, you know, flows out into the wider environment, flows out into your home life as well. So I think, and, you know, just a couple of points to reiterate them. The excitement that you were talking about when we delegate, that, you know, really does tap into this motivation. People need a purpose, people need a reason, people need to understand why they're doing, and to be given that extra responsibility and that extra level of trust from the leader is super exciting and super motivating.
Exactly. So, and it makes them feel good, right? It makes them feel motivated.
Makes them feel good. And this is what we've come back to over and over again. It's not just about the numbers, it's not just about the performance, it is about the feeling, how people feel in that.
And the well-being of those people, because those people in the team are the greatest assets that you have, you know, and if they feel good and they are motivated and aligned, you'll get a really good job done.
Right, and everybody's happy. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so I think we're on to our last step, navigating workplace challenges. You know, this is going to happen. There are going to be conflicts. There are going to be challenges. There are going to be difficult, awkward conversations to be had. That's just part of it. It's part of life. And the sooner we can accept that and embrace that and see these conversations, these challenges as a tool, as a way to grow, and not make them just something sticky to deal with, to get over, you can use that, it again helps people feel good. So being aware that these situations will arrive is the first thing. And we come back again to active listening. And I think specifically around dealing with conflicts, dealing with workplace challenges, this is so crucial, right? If you have somebody that is disgruntled or unhappy or feels hard done by, just not doing so well in their job, they really need to be heard. They really need to feel valued and listened to, right? So this becomes so crucial. And I think important to say that there will be scenarios and there'll be situations that as a leader, you may personally have difficult feelings around, or may not agree with the other person's perspective, but it's your job to put that aside, to let go of your own personal perspective so that you can essentially detach yourself from that and be fully present and there listening, absorbing everything that person is saying to you, right? Get the full picture.
Which is like empathy as well. This is how we just fall into the empathy, isn't it? It's like, so empathy to me is a superpower, somebody who's empathic. It doesn't mean that they are a walkover or anything. It just means that they have the ability to listen. They have the ability to really sense and feel the other person's perspective. They have compassion for that as well. And then able to make some changes, perhaps that is supporting that person or supporting the organization as a whole, and not just like, right, this is the way we do it and that's it. It should be really, applying that empathy. And I think also when it comes to just, if you think of a team staff, they're all humans. So every single one are going to have personal stuff going on now and then. They'll have some, maybe health stuff coming up now and then. There's going to be certain things. And it's not to say that the workplace, you shouldn't perhaps talk to your boss about everything, but to be able to say, look, I have this really difficult situation coming up and, it's really hard for me to manage everything. And I just want to be heard. And I just want to share what's happening. And if the leader and the boss or the CEO actually takes 2 minutes to listen, or maybe more, 5, and say, look, I understand this is really difficult, and, you have our support in, understanding what you're going through. And I'm really sorry to hear it. Look, that's masses to someone sometimes, just getting that validation that, yes, you're not abnormal. This happens to everyone at some point in some time in their life or in similar situations. And it's okay. And what do you need to manage this in the best way right now so that, your work doesn't suffer too much, or is there something that can be delegated for the time being, or whatever, what can be done so that we can manage this together. And I think that is empathy, real, deep levels of empathy. And that's almost going into problem solving now here, because that's kind of how can we problem solve by being more.
That's the natural flow, isn't it? And that question that you asked, what do you need? That was so crucial for that, because if you don't know what they need, how can you solve the problem in a way that involves them and that actually aligns with them as well? So I think sort of finding solutions that impact how everybody feels, not just what might look right on paper. And this is why empathy and active listening is so important. You've got to get everybody's full perspective. You've got to really fully understand the situation. And it's not just about finding a solution. It's about finding the right solution, I think, where everybody feels valued, right?
Exactly. And I think sometimes this is another thing, people say, oh, yeah, let's find a solution, let's problem solve. Sometimes that first step of acknowledgement is what's necessary. Just somebody hearing them out. Mm-hmm. And then the problem solving can happen, maybe not immediately, because maybe everyone needs to think about this, but what we're going to do about this situation, And yes, do the problem solving, but that active listening, that presence, that being heard is really important. Yeah, and the person will do better with communicating how everything is going for them, what's not working. They'll be more responsive. They won't disconnect. the time people disconnect emotionally and actually lose respect for their work, the leaders or the CEOs, the executives, whatever, the team members, is when they feel that they're not being heard. I think that's when it happens,
That's when people get off,
and you disconnect emotionally, and then you'll do not so well because you're not going to respect the organization as much. You feel that
you're going to feel very
you don't owe them anything, sort of thing, because then why should you, sort of thing. And that is, I think, human emotional connection is key. It's key.
Yes, and all the way through all of these steps require a level of emotional intelligence that
absolutely
available to. So just keeping an eye on the time, that is the 7 steps. So following these steps and applying some of the things that we've talked about will help you to overcome fear and stop playing small and really up level your leadership. And there was one, I don't know if this is in the workbook, Jenny, this exercise.
No, yes, I think it is. But what I said yesterday, maybe take a screenshot of this, if you have your phone there, you can take, because it's a lot to take in from the class, isn't it? So maybe take a photo of this and then kind of go and tap back into these. How are you doing with your brilliance? Are you really utilizing everything? Are you feeling that you are cultivating confidence? Are you in your career aligned with the vision and values? Can you communicate with impact? Are you good to set goals and measure the progress? And can you empower your team? And how do you manage conflicts? So I think this is something to go back and reflect on, right?
Yeah.
Because it'll take a little bit of time. Take yourself 30 minutes to sit down, write down this, work through this. And see what you come up with.
Get into the body as well. The body's got so much information, so much more information. Get out of your head, back into your body. That's great. Thank you. I think we're going to hand back to Sabine now.
Yes.
Thank you so much, ladies. This has been an incredible conversation and so much to take away. And you're absolutely right. There's so much to leadership and so many different avenues. And one thing I would say, if you score far less than 10 on all of these, then I think we have a great next step for you. So thank you, ladies. I'm going to just take over. I will let you go, and then I will share my screen. And also, obviously, I want to share with people what else we've got in store, because, well, obviously, we've got a potential for you guys to do a bit more around leadership, but not only leadership, because it's really about mastering life's lessons and learnings in all areas of life. Because as Jenny and Denise were quite rightly saying, is that we are whole humans. We may have challenges at home as well. And sometimes we only get leadership support, or maybe we don't, or we just get well-being support at work, or maybe we don't. So really it's about having a pool of resources, perhaps being able to tap into people like Jenny and Denise to get more support around all areas of life, right? So just wanted to share with you what we have. We've got a space for you, which is called the Empower Me Hub, where we provide holistic support, where we have a community that is interactive and fun. We have also got more of the tools that they were talking about. And of course, the workbooks are waiting for you there as well, where you can score yourself and look at your pathways and your goals. And then we help you tailor your plan as to where do you want to move with your career, with your home life, with your work life, with your well-being. You are going to be in control, which is very important, because perhaps you're not getting the support at work right now. Perhaps there is an opportunity that your employer is going to sponsor your place here, or perhaps your whole team would benefit from joining this community and this learning platform. And of course, this is all about community and accountability, because we are on a continuous learning journey. And I'm also a leadership coach myself. I've been in leadership positions where I received coaching, where I received training, but then sometimes we just get a one-off workshop and then we're supposed to go and implement and to remember what we've learned. And so sometimes it doesn't work. That's not really a sustainable way to actually implement the skill set and to be able to continuously perform and improve and get the continuous feedback. So that's why we really created a space which is called the Empower Me Hub, where you can get the consistency, where you get the support as well, because going alone is going to be very challenging. And really, it's about getting an integrated toolkit and an approach that works for you in every area. What is the Empower Me Hub? As I already said, we have a step-by-step roadmap when you come in. So it's really about addressing all the different elements. It's an integrated approach. It's a sustainable approach for lifelong learning. We give you actionable steps, and you also have community. We have conversations. It's not just a training portal as such. We also have a community attached to this where we can have conversations, and we have also live sessions happening several times a month. And of course, if you can't join any of the live sessions, they tend to happen either in a lunch break, like short bite-sized sort of lunch and learns, or in an evening, but they can always be rewatched because we've got the replay vault and the Q&A section where you can always ask the experts as well, and you will get the answers if you can't make it live. And I'm really, really proud of this because, as I said, I'm a leadership coach myself. I've been a leader myself for many, many years in many different organizations. And I wish I had a space like this where we can come together, we can have those conversations where, you know, there are maybe things that we need to discuss in the moment. There are situations at work, and it's still a safe place where, you know, we're not sharing back into the organization, or nobody is going to come from HR and sort of penalize you. It is a safe place. And of course, you can always go in there and not sharing your name or anything like this if there is obviously confidential stuff. So you can still just tap into the resources and also ask on a private level. So I just want to share with you a little bit about the platform. It isn't on social media. Again, this is a great addition because it's not a social media platform where people see your posts. It's a safe learning environment where we do have community, where we have a tab where there is a calendar. So all the live calls and the details of the talks are being displayed. We always ask also for feedback in the community as to what sorts of talks they would like and what kind of topics are really relevant right now. And then we also have the classroom where we already have a lot of different topics pre-selected, pre-recorded with workshops, with key takeaways so that you can actually go through it very, very quickly when you only have short spaces of time. Then you also have the speakers in there. So you can actually tap into the people who have provided the training, which is an additional amazing bonus. And of course, it may feel a little bit overwhelming because the classroom is so big and it's growing every single day. We have different things that we do inside here. You can see some of the topics, although it's quite small on the screen. But we're talking about well-being. So we've got emotional, mental, physical, financial well-being. We've got a career pathway. So where do you want to go with your career? Do you need support around your career? Would you like to rewrite your CV? Who can help you with that? So we've got that section. We've also got a home life section where perhaps you are a parent and you need some parenting support. Maybe you're going through love, relationship, divorce sort of challenges. Again, you have a speaker that speaks about that. We have team leadership, of course, even more so talks around how to receive feedback, change management topics, active listening topics, even more around team leadership and how to motivate your team, how to do performance improvement with your team, and loads more here as well, and toolkits for you. And then we have the self-leadership, because obviously quite often we may think we're self-sabotaging, we have limiting beliefs. So how do we talk to ourselves and how can we lead ourselves better in terms of habits that we're creating, in terms of time management, and loads more. I could obviously go on and on and on. However, you might think, oh, maybe this is going to be overwhelming. Don't worry, you've got access to this portal any time of the day. Every day of the week, you can access it, even when you are on traveling, when you're on holidays, wherever you go globally. In order to get started, we have created a really amazing pathway. And by the way, if you join today, you will also get a 7-day free trial, and you will be locked in that pricing. So the pricing will keep on going up, because as we are developing this portal, there will be different pricings at different price points. So right now, if you jump in, you will be locked into this pricing. After the 7-day free trial, you will then start a monthly subscription, or you can upgrade to annual to get a better deal as well. But just know this, when you are starting the 7-day free trial, you can jump straight into the 7-day Empower Me quest. We've created this journey, which is a quest, which is a treasure hunt, where you can actually look at what are your priorities in life and in your career, and which pathway would you like to start with first. So we've got a real sort of tailored approach here, where you can go through an assessment first and then see, where do I want to get started? And of course, then all the replays will be waiting for you, and it's a self-paced study opportunity as well. So we will share the link with you in and around somewhere this video. We'll see a link to join. We'll also send you an email with the replay and the link as well, so you can join in. And hopefully we will see you inside the Empower Me Hub. When you are going through to the link, you will see a page like this, something similar. I will obviously update the video, and it may not look like this exactly, but just know there is a button on the right-hand side where you can start your free trial, and hopefully we will see you on the inside, and we'll continue these amazing conversations. Thank you very much for joining the session today, and we look forward to seeing you in future sessions and continue the conversation.